Every single day, hundreds of millions of people warm up food they cooked the day before. They believe something very simple. They believe that if food is hot enough, if the steam is rising and the plate feels warm in their hands, then that food is safe to eat. It feels like common sense. It feels like something your own mother taught you. But that quiet, comfortable belief may be one of the most dangerous assumptions you carry into your kitchen every single day. Let me give you a number, and I want you to hold on to it for the rest of this video. 1 in 6. That is roughly the share of all cancer cases worldwide that researchers now connect to what we eat, how we store it, and how we prepare it a second time. According to data published in CA, a cancer journal for clinicians, poor dietary habits are the second leading modifiable risk factor for cancer on the entire planet, sitting just behind tobacco, just behind cigarettes. And yet, almost nobody is talking about what happens deep inside certain foods when you heat them for a second time. Whether you use a microwave, a stovetop, or the oven, the chemical reactions that begin are completely silent. You cannot see them. You cannot smell them. You cannot taste them. But they are happening inside your food, and then, a short while later, they are happening inside your body. My name is Dr. Eric Wells. I have spent more than 15 years studying nutritional biochemistry and the connection between food science and preventive cancer medicine. And today, I am going to show you 4 ordinary foods, foods that are almost certainly sitting in your refrigerator right now, that go through documented, scientifically confirmed chemical changes when they are reheated. Changes that carry a real, measurable link to cancer risk. Please stay with me all the way to the end of this video, because the 4th food on this list is one that millions of careful, health-conscious people who think they are doing everything right, warm up without a second thought. And that mistake, that one small daily habit, may be quietly working against them for years. Before we go a single step further, I need you to understand something, and I need you to really sit with it. This is not about a small inconvenience. This is not about an upset stomach that passes in a day or a night of feeling unwell. What we are talking about today is far quieter and far more serious. We are talking about the slow, gradual buildup of cancer-linked compounds inside the body over months and over years. The kind of silent damage that gives almost no warning, that produces no pain, no symptom, nothing at all, until one day it becomes very, very difficult to undo. Cancer almost never appears overnight. It is a slow process, a gradual staircase, one small step at a time. And the building blocks of that staircase, free radicals, advanced glycation end products, nitrosamines, and the byproducts of damaged fats, very often enter the body not through cigarette smoke, not through factory pollution, but through your own kitchen, through your own dinner plate, through the food you trusted. The World Health Organization has formally classified several of the compounds that form during the reheating and repeated cooking of certain foods as Group 1 or Group 2A carcinogens. Let me tell you exactly what those two labels mean, in plain language. Group 1 means there is conclusive, settled evidence that the substance causes cancer in human beings. There is no real debate. Group 2A means it is probably carcinogenic to humans, strong evidence, though not yet final. These are not scary words invented for a video. These are official classifications, and the reactions that create these compounds happen in ordinary kitchens, on ordinary stoves, inside ordinary microwaves, every single time the wrong foods are reheated the wrong way. And here is the part that I most want you to hear, especially if you are over the age of 60. The people at the greatest risk are not people with strange or reckless eating habits. They are ordinary, sensible people who believe they are eating well. People who cook a good meal, store the leftovers carefully in the refrigerator, and warm them up the next day to save money and avoid waste. Careful people, frugal people, wise people. And as we grow older, our bodies also become less able to defend themselves against these compounds, because our natural repair systems and our immune defenses slow down with age. So this matters more for you now, not less. After you finish watching this video, I promise you will never look at your leftovers the same way again. Let me take just a moment to explain why I am qualified to speak to you about this. Not to impress you, and not to boast, but because in a world absolutely flooded with health misinformation, with false claims and frightening headlines around every corner, you have every right to know exactly who is giving you advice and why that advice can be trusted. I completed my medical training with a focus on internal medicine, followed by advanced study in nutritional biochemistry. For more than 15 years, my work has focused specifically on how cooking, heat, storage, and reheating change the molecular structure of the food we eat, and how those changes create byproducts that interact with human DNA and with the way our cells work. For this video alone, I have reviewed hundreds of peer-reviewed scientific studies. Every claim I make today is supported by published research from respected journals, including Food Chemistry, the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, Carcinogenesis, and the Lancet Oncology. I am going to explain all of it to you in clear, simple, everyday language, because the science is real, the evidence is strong, and you deserve to actually understand it, not just be frightened by it. I am not here to sell you a supplement. I am not here to push you towards some expensive course or miracle product. I am here for one reason. Preventive medicine begins with knowledge, and the information I am about to share with you could genuinely help protect you and protect the people you love. Now, before we get to the four foods, I need to give you a short but very important lesson in food chemistry. Please, please do not skip this part. I am begging you. This is the key that unlocks everything else in this video. If you understand this, the rest will make perfect sense. When food is cooked for the very first time, heat creates predictable, manageable reactions. Proteins unfold, starches soften, fats blend and melt. These are all normal, expected, harmless processes. This is simply what cooking is. But when you reheat food that has already been through all of that, especially food that has been sitting in the refrigerator for several hours or several days, a completely different set of reactions begins. A darker set. First, there is oxidation. The fats and proteins in your food, after being exposed to oxygen during storage, become chemically unstable. They are already damaged, already fragile, and when you apply heat a second time, these already wounded molecules break apart even further into compounds called lipid peroxides and malondialdehyde. Both of these are well-documented agents capable of damaging your DNA, damaging the very instructions inside your cells. Second, there is what I call the Maillard reaction gone wrong. The Maillard reaction is the beautiful thing that gives cooked food its rich brown color and delicious flavor. It is why toast smells wonderful, why seared meat tastes so good. But when proteins and sugars are exposed to high heat again and again, they produce compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. And these compounds drive chronic inflammation, which is one of the major biological engines behind the development of cancer. Third, there is nitrite conversion. Certain foods, especially those naturally high in nitrates, go through a bacterial change while they sit in your refrigerator. When you then reheat them, those nitrates turn into nitrites, and those nitrites can be transformed further into nitrosamines, compounds the World Health Organization classifies as probable or confirmed carcinogens. So there are three mechanisms: oxidation, advanced glycation, nitrosamine formation. Please, keep these three ideas in the back of your mind as we go through each food, because you will see one or more of them appear in every single example we discuss today. They are the villains of this story, and they keep coming back. Food number one, potatoes. The humble potato. There is almost nothing more ordinary, more comforting, more universal than the potato. Baked potatoes, boiled potatoes, mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes. It is one of the most beloved foods in the entire world, and for most families, especially older families who grew up cooking large, hearty meals, leftover potatoes are simply a fact of life. You make a big batch, you cover them, you put them in the refrigerator, and you warm them up the next day. It feels completely harmless. But there is a serious problem hiding in this habit, and it has far less to do with the reheating itself than with what happens to the potato while it waits in your kitchen. Here is the danger. A cooked potato, especially one that has been wrapped in aluminum foil or left to cool slowly at room temperature, creates an almost perfect hiding place for a bacterium called Clostridium botulinum. This is the same bacterium responsible for botulism, one of the most dangerous forms of food poisoning known to medicine. This bacterium loves exactly the conditions a cooling potato provides: low oxygen, moisture, and warmth. When you wrap a baked potato in foil, you seal out the oxygen, and you create the perfect quiet environment for this bacterium to wake up and produce its toxin. There was a well-documented outbreak, published in the medical literature, where a large number of people fell seriously ill from a dish made with baked potatoes that had been held at room temperature, still wrapped in foil, for far too long before being used. And here is the part that should truly concern you. When you reheat that potato, the heat may kill the bacterium itself, but it does not always destroy the toxin it has already produced. The toxin can survive. It survives the microwave. It survives the oven, and it enters your body intact. But the bacterial danger is not even the main cancer concern. The cancer concern is this: potatoes are extremely rich in starch and natural sugars. And when you reheat starchy foods like potatoes at high temperatures again and again, you increase the formation of a chemical compound called acrylamide. Acrylamide forms when the natural sugars in the potato react with an amino acid called asparagine under high heat. And the International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies acrylamide as a group 2A carcinogen, meaning it is probably carcinogenic to humans. Every time you crisp up those leftover potatoes at high heat, you are encouraging more of this compound to form. So what should you do instead? Whenever you can, cook only as many potatoes as you plan to eat. If you must store them, never leave them wrapped in foil at room temperature. Never. Cool them quickly, refrigerate them within 1 hour, and eat them within a day or two. And when you do reheat them, use gentle, moderate heat rather than blasting them at the highest setting. Small changes, big protection. Food number 2, mushrooms. Now this one surprises almost everyone. Mushrooms are widely loved, widely eaten, and widely considered one of the healthiest additions to any meal. They are low in calories, rich in nutrients, full of antioxidants, and doctors and dietitians often encourage people to eat more of them, and they are right to. Fresh mushrooms, cooked once and eaten right away, are a wonderful food. But mushrooms have a hidden problem, and it is written right into their chemistry. Mushrooms are unusually rich in proteins, and they also contain a high amount of natural compounds that are very delicate and easily damaged. When you cook a mushroom for the first time, its proteins unfold and change, which is completely normal. But mushrooms begin to break down and spoil far faster than most people realize, even in the refrigerator. Their protein structure is fragile, and once cooked and stored, that structure begins to degrade. When you then reheat cooked mushrooms, especially at high temperatures, that protein breakdown continues and accelerates. The proteins go through further changes, forming new compounds and byproducts. Research on the reheating of protein-rich foods shows that repeated heating drives what are called non-enzymatic browning reactions, the very same Maillard reaction gone wrong that I described earlier, which produces those advanced glycation end products, the AGEs, that fuel chronic inflammation in the body. And chronic, long-term inflammation, as I have told you, is one of the major biological drivers behind the development of cancer. There is another layer to this. The delicate compounds and amino acids inside mushrooms, when heated a second time, can oxidize and produce byproducts that place oxidative stress on the digestive system. For older adults, whose digestion is already more sensitive and whose cells repair themselves more slowly, this added stress on the lining of the gut is not something to take lightly. Persistent oxidative stress in the digestive tract is one of the mechanisms researchers connect to the long-term development of digestive cancers. So what should you do instead? Try to cook only the mushrooms you will actually eat in one sitting. If you do have leftovers, the safest option is to eat them cold, perhaps added to a fresh salad the next day, rather than blasting them in the microwave. And never let cooked mushrooms sit in the refrigerator for days on end. If you cannot eat them within a day, it is better to let them go than to reheat old, degraded mushrooms. Foods number 3 and number 4 are the ones that most people get completely wrong. Food number 3 is something found in almost every refrigerator in the world, and food number 4 is something that many people eat believing it is a normal, harmless part of everyday cooking, when in truth, it may be one of the most quietly harmful habits in the entire kitchen. If you are finding this information valuable, if it is opening your eyes the way I hope it is, I would gently encourage you to subscribe to this channel. I publish one new video every week, and every single one follows this same honest approach. Real, peer-reviewed science, translated into clear, practical advice you can actually use in your own home. No hype, no fear for the sake of fear, no supplements to sell you, just the truth and what it means for your health and the health of the people you love. Food number 3, processed meats. Bacon, ham, sausages, and deli meats. Now, please listen very carefully because this one is enormously important and it affects a huge number of households, especially households where money is carefully managed and nothing is wasted. Processed meats, the bacon you fry on the weekend, the ham you slice for sandwiches, the sausages, the deli cold cuts, the hot dogs, are already among the most concerning foods in the human diet even before you reheat them. In 2015, the World Health Organization classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen. Let me remind you what Group 1 means. It means conclusive evidence that it causes cancer in humans. It is placed in the very same hazard category as tobacco smoke. That is not my opinion. That is the official, settled classification. Why? Because processed meats are preserved using nitrates and nitrites. These preservatives keep the meat pink, extend its shelf life, and prevent spoilage. But those very same nitrites can transform into nitrosamines, and nitrosamines are among the most potent cancer-causing compounds identified by modern science. Now here is the crucial part for today's video. When you reheat processed meat, especially at high temperatures, in a frying pan or a microwave, you dramatically accelerate the formation of these nitrosamines. Heating already cured, already nitrite-rich meat a second time is like pouring fuel on a fire that is already burning. Research on nitrosamines in processed meats confirms that cooking and reheating at high temperatures increases the levels of these dangerous compounds. And the evidence connecting processed meat to cancer, particularly colorectal cancer, is not weak or uncertain. It is strong, it is consistent, and it is repeated across study after study. Colorectal cancer is the third most common cancer in the world, responsible for nearly 1 million deaths every year. And your risk of it rises with the amount of processed meat you eat, and rises further when that meat is repeatedly heated. There is one more danger here. When you fry or reheat processed meats at high heat, the proteins undergo oxidation and produce heterocyclic amines, or HCAs, which are among the most heavily researched dietary carcinogens in all of science. Once these HCAs enter your body, your liver processes them into highly reactive compounds that can bind directly to your DNA and cause the kind of genetic mutations that begin the long road toward cancer. So what should you do instead? The honest, straightforward answer is to eat less processed meat overall. And when you do eat it, try to cook it fresh and eat it right away, rather than storing and reheating it. If you have leftover ham or cold cuts, eat them cold, exactly as they are meant to be eaten in a sandwich, rather than warming them up again. And avoid frying bacon or sausages a second time. That reheated crispy bacon may taste wonderful, but it carries a hidden cost that grows with every year of the habit. Food number 4, reused and reheated cooking oil. I promised you that the fourth food would surprise you, and here it is. This one is not really a single food. It is something that touches almost everything you cook. It is the oil in your pan. And more specifically, it is the terrible, incredibly common habit of reusing and reheating cooking oil. Think about how many households do this. You fry something in oil. It seems wasteful to throw that oil away, so you let it cool, you pour it back into a jar or leave it in the pan, and the next day, or the next week, you heat it up and use it again. Frugal, sensible, economical, and enormously dangerous. This is one of the most harmful habits in the entire kitchen, and almost nobody talks about it. Here is what actually happens at the molecular level. Cooking oils are made of fats. When you heat oil to a high temperature, those fats begin to break down and oxidize. When you then cool that oil and heat it again, that breakdown accelerates dramatically, producing a whole family of toxic compounds. The research on this is clear and alarming. Repeatedly heated cooking oil generates aldehydes, including a compound called 4-hydroxynonenal, along with acrolein and acrylamide. all of which have documented genotoxic, inflammatory, and carcinogenic potential. Let me focus on that word, genotoxic, because it is one of the most important words in this entire video. Genotoxic means toxic to your genetic material, toxic to your DNA. These compounds can cause breaks and mutations in the DNA inside your cells, and those mutations are the very first step on the long staircase that leads to cancer. Studies reviewing the effects of repeatedly heated cooking oils have connected them to increased inflammation, to damage of the blood vessels, and to an increased risk of several types of cancer. And here is what makes this so insidious. The oil looks fine. It may look a little darker, but it seems perfectly usable. Your eyes tell you it is fine. Your nose may not object. But at the molecular level, that oil is now carrying a heavy load of harmful compounds. And every time you cook with it again, you are transferring those compounds directly into your food, and then directly into your body. For older adults especially, this matters enormously, because these compounds contribute to inflammation and to the hardening and damage of blood vessels, which affects not only cancer risk, but heart health as well. It is a double burden on a body that deserves protection, not harm. So what should you do instead? This one has a simple and powerful solution. Do not reuse cooking oil. When you have finished frying, let the oil cool and discard it properly. Do not save it for tomorrow. Do not pour it back into the bottle. Use fresh oil each time you cook. And whenever possible, choose gentler cooking methods, baking, steaming, boiling, or light sautéing over repeated deep frying at high heat. Your food will be just as satisfying, and your body will thank you for years to come. Now, I want to be completely honest with you about something personal. When I first began digging into the scientific research on reheated foods and reused oils, when I sat down and truly read the studies on nitrosamines, on heterocyclic amines, on the toxic aldehydes in repeatedly heated oil, my very first feeling was not fear. It was frustration. Deep frustration. Because this information is not hidden. It is not locked away in some secret vault. It has been published, openly, in respected peer-reviewed journals. It appears in official guidance from the World Health Organization, from food safety authorities, from public health agencies all over the world. And yet somehow, it almost never reaches the kitchen table. It is almost never explained in a way that an ordinary person, a busy person, an older person living carefully on a fixed income can actually understand and use. Millions of people make decisions about reheating food every single day, not because they are careless and not because they do not care about their health, but simply because no one ever told them. No one ever sat them down and explained it clearly. There are grandparents reheating leftover potatoes and processed meat because they live alone, and cooking a fresh meal for one feels like too much trouble. There are careful, frugal people reusing the same cooking oil again and again because throwing it away feels wasteful and wrong. There are loving families warming up mushrooms and old leftovers, believing with all their hearts that they are eating healthily. None of these people are doing anything wrong. They simply do not know. And now, you do. That, more than anything, is the entire purpose of this channel and of this video. Not to frighten you away from food, not to fill you with worry, but to hand you real, practical, evidence-based knowledge so that you can make wiser, healthier, safer choices and close the enormous gap between what science already knows and what ordinary people are actually told. So let us bring it all together now. 4 foods, 4 different biological mechanisms, 1 clear and simple conclusion. What you do with your food matters. Food number 1, potatoes. Storing and reheating cooked potatoes, especially wrapped in foil or left at room temperature, can allow the growth of Clostridium botulinum and its dangerous toxin, and repeated high-heat reheating increases the formation of acrylamide. Mechanism: bacterial toxin and acrylamide formation. Potential cancer connection: exposure to a group 2A probable carcinogen. Food number 2, mushrooms. Reheating cooked mushrooms accelerates the breakdown of their fragile proteins, driving non-enzymatic browning reactions that form advanced glycation end products and oxidation byproducts. Mechanism: protein degradation and advanced glycation. Potential cancer connection: chronic inflammation and oxidative stress in the digestive tract. Food number 3, processed meats. Reheating cured meats like bacon, ham, and sausages at high temperatures dramatically increases the formation of nitrosamines and heterocyclic amines. Mechanism: nitrosamine formation and protein oxidation. Potential cancer connection: direct DNA damage and a strong, well-established link to colorectal cancer. Food number 4, reused cooking oil. Repeatedly heating and reusing cooking oil generates toxic aldehydes such as 4-hydroxynonenal, along with acrolein and acrylamide. Mechanism: lipid oxidation and thermal degradation. Potential cancer connection: genotoxic DNA damage, chronic inflammation, and increased risk of several cancers. Do you see the pattern? The same 3 fundamental mechanisms appear again and again across 4 of the most commonly reheated things in the world: nitrosamine formation, oxidation of fats and proteins, and the activation of bacterial toxins. This is not fear-mongering. This is food biochemistry, investigated repeatedly, consistently, and rigorously in the scientific literature. Now let me tell you exactly what I want you to do with everything you have learned today. These are simple, practical steps. They require no special equipment, no supplements, and no dramatic changes to your life. Just small, informed decisions that can meaningfully lower your long-term exposure to these harmful compounds. Never store cooked potatoes wrapped in foil at room temperature. Cool them quickly, refrigerate them within an hour, and reheat them gently, not at maximum heat. Try to eat mushrooms fresh and in one sitting. If you have leftovers, eat them cold rather than reheating them. And never keep cooked mushrooms for days. Eat less processed meat overall. When you do eat ham or cold cuts, enjoy them cold, and avoid frying bacon or sausages a second time. And this one is perhaps the most important of all. Never reuse cooking oil. Use fresh oil each time, discard the old oil properly, and lean toward gentler cooking methods like baking, steaming, and boiling. A few more general rules that protect you across the board. Whenever possible, reheat food gently and at a low temperature rather than blasting it on high. Avoid reheating any food more than once. One cooking, one reheating, and then let it go. When you can, use a low oven rather than a microwave for reheating, because microwaves create uneven hot spots that can speed up these harmful reactions. And finally, plan your portions so you simply make fewer leftovers in the first place. That single habit, cooking a little less, is one of the most powerful protective changes you can make. Before I finish, I would truly love to hear from you. Which of these 4 surprised you the most? Was it the potatoes? Something almost everyone reheats without a moment's thought? Was it the mushrooms? A food so many of us believe is nothing but healthy? Was it the processed meats, already so common in our sandwiches and breakfasts? Or was it the cooking oil, the quiet, invisible habit hiding in so many kitchens? Please tell me in the comments below. And if there is a specific food you would like me to investigate in a future video, something you eat often or reheat regularly, leave that in the comments as well. I read every single one, and your questions genuinely shape the research and the videos I make on this channel. And there is one last thing I want to leave you with. Think, right now, of someone in your life who reheats their leftovers without a second thought. Perhaps it is your husband or your wife. Perhaps it is a brother or sister. Perhaps it is a son or daughter living alone, reheating the same meals all week. Perhaps it is a dear friend who reuses the same cooking oil to save a little money. They do not yet know what you now know, and you can change that in less than 10 seconds simply by sharing this video with them. Not to frighten them, not to lecture them, simply to give them the very same knowledge that you now hold. Because they deserve the chance to make wise, informed choices about their own health just as much as you do. The research is real, the risks are real, and the solutions, thankfully, are wonderfully simple. Share this video because protecting our health is not only something we do for ourselves, it is something we can do for one another. And as always, I want to end with an important clarification. Everything I have shared with you today is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not personal medical advice, a diagnosis, or a treatment recommendation. The scientific evidence I have discussed reflects findings published in peer-reviewed medical and scientific literature available at the time this video was made. Food science continues to evolve, and recommendations may change as new, high-quality evidence emerges. I strongly encourage you to speak with your own physician, a registered dietitian, or another qualified healthcare professional before making significant changes to your diet, especially if you have an existing medical condition. The mission of this channel has always been the same: to take complex scientific research and translate it into clear, practical, honest, evidence-based guidance. Not to replace your doctor, not to create needless fear, but to make sure that the very same evidence available to researchers and public health experts is also available to you, in your home, in your language, in a way you can actually use. Because you deserve nothing less than complete, accurate, honest information about your own health and your own life. Thank you so much for watching. I am Dr. Eric Wells, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.